Hello, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Bryce Koon, and we welcome you into the crowded booth on a Tuesday evening. We're talking a little bit of college football here, the college football semifinal preview. We got a Thursday and a Friday game. We'll take an in-depth analytical look at those games. We'll give our predictions for our friends over at FanDuel, and then we are going to hightail it, I was going to say, into some portal conversations. What are the big storylines? What do we need to watch out for? We got my friend Zach Nagy coming in later on in the show. Going to give that Ole Miss perspective. I'm going to talk a little bit about Trinidad Chambliss and Keywan Lacey returning to the Rebels. That and more on tonight's episode of The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
I hate it. I do it and I mess it up sometimes. Welcome in, Will Maness. Alongside myself, I'm Bryce Koon. The fit check, they wanted it. The Pop-Tarts Bowl quarter zip has come in. Will's saying pony up. I will say it's a little more blue than my liking. I've got a party to go to on Friday night that is a work party for my wife. I said I was going to wear it. She said she's not going if I don't wear it. But it's free food, Will. And you recently went to a party. Was the food worth the party that you had for your wife that was for her work?
I mean, it was.
If it's free, that's a big deal.
Yeah, when it's free, it's always good.
Okay. What was served? Do you remember? This was a while ago.
Yeah, well, we went to a bunch of different spots. So there was a Mexican place. We went to. I mean, it was really like bar hopping, but the one place we ate was a Mexican place.
What'd you get?
They did it like I would guess how they cater it. So it was just like chicken or beef tacos and all the trimmings that go on tacos.
All the trimmings. I like it. Are you a chicken, beef, steak, pork? What's the best taco?
All the above. I eat them all.
Meat lovers. Will clip that. Will is a meat lover. There we go. Welcome in. We make sure you subscribe, hanging out with us here on a Tuesday evening. Will, it's the midst of chaos season here in college football as we not only have the transfer portal happening, we've got college football playoff semifinals. 4 teams left, only 2 spots going to be available after this weekend as we get ready for the national championship. We didn't really talk about it a ton because we didn't do a full recap. Anything surprise you? Most notably, obviously, Ole Miss beating Georgia, but anything surprise you from that quarterfinal round?
The absolute destruction of Alabama. That was surprising. Would have never have thought that I would have had a better day. I mean, banner day. And I mean, it sucks that it was New Year's Day because it's all downhill from here for me. I mean, Alabama gets blasted by 35. Georgia loses in the Sugar Bowl. It was a great day.
You've stood on the table and stood on business about Alabama not being good all year, and in the grand scheme of things, making the quarterfinal, it's important and it does show success, but they got exposed. Indiana's a machine. We're going to talk about the game here in just a second. We got Oregon, Indiana. We've got Miami, Ole Miss. Before we get started, you see it there in the top corner of your screen. 2026, it's the year of FanDuel. Well, we got a little pushback on the channel and some of the comments about betting on the show. My child will show up at some point in the show. She is not gambling. She just makes straight up picks. If you'd like to bet on her picks, head over to FanDuel and make sure you use that code and do it responsibly there as well.
Look, you got to pay the bills, right? I've sold it to you off the air. I'll bring my statement on the air. I can be bought, and I am relatively cheap, so taking any and all offers.
I like it. Jonesy asked, "Is that a Cardinals hat?" Whitey Will, he asked. What a nickname!
Got to be Whitey Herzog.
That's a good ball right there.
That's what he's going with. No, this is the school I coach.
That's the school that Will goes to. Will's in 5th grade. There you go. I don't do anything responsibly, Zach. We're well aware. So we appreciate you. Make sure you check out our friends over at FanDuel. Make sure you do it responsibly. You've got the college football playoff semis. You got college basketball going on right now. I don't know what's happening over at the Pavilion in Atlanta. Last I saw, Syracuse is beating Georgia Tech. It's LSU just taking it from South Carolina, and it's just ridiculous what's happened to that basketball program. But that indeed, welcome in. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. Let's dive into game number 1. It is Oregon. It is Indiana. You take a look at the success rates, the quality drive ratios, per our friends over at College Football Graphs, CFB Graphs. Will has cited them for so long, we decided to make graphics for each show about them. Will, look, you can look analytically at a lot of things. And when I look at what Indiana has done, it backs up why I'm just going to go out there and say it. I think they win this game, and I think they cover. I think the Hoosiers are a machine. I don't think they make a lot of mistakes. They force you to make mistakes. They force you to make them make mistakes, and it just doesn't happen often enough. Oregon's good. How much has Oregon really been tested during this playoff run, though, I think does have to come into question. They shut down Texas Tech. Baron Morton had a nightmare of a day, I guess, like last week in the Orange Bowl. To me, Indiana's just a well-oiled machine. And I just kind of see them continuing down this trajectory of suffocating their opponents, dominating them. It may look close early on, but they just play a full 60. They don't let up.
Yeah, it's because they dominate the lines of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. The numbers back that up. They're number 1 defensively in yards before contact. I mean, half a yard is what they give up to running backs before they make contact. And they get after the quarterback 8th in the country in pressure rate at 41.3%. Net points per drive, number 1, less than 3 points a drive, number 1 in quality drive ratio. All that to me points to domination on the lines of scrimmage. Indiana went on the road and beat this Oregon team in Eugene in the regular season. I think they'll do it again. It's really hard to beat the same team twice, but I'm with you. I just think Indiana is you can't say they're the most talented team that was in the 12-team playoff field, but I think it's, especially now, it's safe to say that they're by far the best coach team. I think they have an edge that the other teams don't have, and I think they're going to win this game against Oregon. I think they're going to cover as well.
When you go back to that Oregon-Indiana game, it was the offensive production that for Indiana that never really took off. It was their lowest of the year, tied with that Penn State just wild football game in 2025. They had to have a comeback to go win that game. Oregon's defense, I think, is much better than, and I talked about this last week, their defense is much better than maybe we would just give credit to when you just see the highlighter uniforms and you think of Oregon. Yes, they're fast flying. Yes, they do a lot of things. They play really solid defense, and they've got some good players. I love the safety they have on the back end and what they're able to do there too. Can Oregon play their brand? To me, Oregon wins this game if they can play their brand. It's fast, it's physical, but it's on schedule offensively. Dante Moore, look, is getting a lot of hype. For a lot of people, he's the number 1 quarterback going into the NFL draft next year. Regardless how you feel about him, that's what a lot of the pundits say. Well, I don't think this is just cut and dry. Indiana's just going to win the football game because Oregon's talented. They know what Indiana's going to bring, and I think Oregon is playing better. Like, Texas Tech's not a fraud. I think Oregon just shut them down. Like, Texas Tech is a really good program with a lot of talent on that team. What is the path to winning? Because to me, it's staying on schedule and maybe even ahead of schedule offensively. Because if you stall out on drives too often, that's when it feels insurmountable. That's to me what happened with Alabama's offense against Indiana last week.
Yeah, they got to play their game, like you said. They got to stay on schedule. They're playing the number 3 total defense in the country in Indiana. It's going to be tough. I mean, Oregon touts the number 5 total defense. So, I mean, I think this will be low-scoring game. When I say Indiana wins and they cover, I think it's late. It's a single-digit game for 4 quarters, I think. But Oregon's got to play their style. They got to – how do I want to word this? They can't – it's really just play their game. I can't think of a better way to articulate that. They can't do things – they can't go off schedule. They can't go off script. Throw out the tendency breakers. Just go play your game. Go be physical. Match Indiana's physicality. I think that gives them the best chance of winning. Don't get desperate early in the game. Go for 4th downs in your own territory. We've seen Dan Lanning do that at times. We saw Kirby Smart do it. We see coaches do that in the high pressure moments. They get away from what got them to the point that they're where they are. I think if Oregon just matches the physicality, hangs with Indiana, they can win the game. But Indiana makes it so tough because you think, how in the world am I going to score? I can't give them the ball back because I can't score on their defense.
They just make such good decisions. Like Fernando Mendoza makes the right reads. He doesn't play outside of himself. They don't turn the ball over at a crazy rate. Like, you have to play your A-plus game on both sides to go beat them. Oregon is capable of that, but I'm going to go ahead and throw my pick in here. I'm taking Indiana. I'm taking them minus 3.5, and I'll even tease it. I'll take the over as well. I think this is a game that there's going to be some good defense played. I kind of see this one as maybe being an Indiana 31, Oregon 25-26. Like, I don't think it's going to be 45-44, but I think enough points score that you can make some money on that over. Those numbers, obviously, by our friends over at FanDuel. So, Will, do you differ? Where do you sit on this one when it comes prediction time?
I definitely like Indiana and like them to cover the 3.5. I'm not so sure about that over-under. This feels like a game, if you can score 24, you're going to win it, to me. I think it's going to be defensive. We got 2 top 5 defenses, 2 top 5 offenses too, but usually defense travels. It's going to be a very interesting game. These 2 teams going down to Atlanta. There's been a lot of support for Indiana. I've seen online everywhere. I mean, they filled out the Rose Bowl. So I think they're going to come down to Atlanta. I think they're going to fill out Mercedes-Benz Stadium and pretty much give Indiana a home field advantage.
Peach Bowl, you going?
I am going.
Oh, so we'll have eyes in the sky. You going to be high in the sky, or are you going to be in one of the luxury suites?
No, I'll be in an end zone.
Oh, Will's going to be standing in the end zone, catching passes from Fernando Mendoza. That's what you get there. We both take Indiana to win. I take the over. Will takes the under. So make sure you can get those bets in with our friends over at FanDuel. When we come back, we've got a guest. We're talking Ole Miss, Miami, 2 of the hottest teams right now in college football. And we'll lean into some of that portal stuff here in just a second. What's up, everybody? My name is Bryce Koon, and I cover college football here on the Crowded Booth and also over with On3, covering all things LSU. I'm here to tell you about a presenting sponsor this year for us as we get ready to continue tailgate season. It's our friends over at Cajun Cousins Company, based in South Carolina, but serving the entire Southeast with a little bit of that Louisiana flavor. Now, listen, they've got great products. They've got some great merch, including this awesome hat for you LSU fans that I'm rocking right now. But today I want to tell you about something that's going to maybe spice up that tailgate or that event a little bit more. It's Cajun Cousins pepper sauce. Make sure you try it out. Whether it needs to go on the po' boy, whether it needs to go on the fish, or even in some of that jambalaya, make sure you let them know the Crowded Booth sent you and head over to CajunCousins.co.com and get what you need today. Whether it's a family event, whether it's a part of that tailgate here in football season, Cajun Cousins Company is the way to go. What's up, everybody? My name is Bryce Koon, and I cover college football here on the Crowded Booth and also over with On3, covering all things LSU. Just love how we don't know how to work the back end of StreamYard. Zach Nagy in the building. Zach, it's been a long time. I don't know. Have you ever appeared on the show?
I was thinking about that earlier, man. I don't think so.
Okay. Zach, introduce yourself to the people. What do? You are covering 2. By the way, Zach runs 2 SI sites. I'm going to introduce him for himself. Covers LSU and Ole Miss. Zach, you've had just scrounging for information over the past 2 months, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, this has been one of the craziest stretches ever. I mean, I've been sitting here at this exact spot in this little office probably since like November 15th. I feel like I haven't moved much since then. Man, it's been crazy. It's been a crazy kind of whirlwind stretch. You got obviously Lane Kiffin coming here. You got a college football playoff with Ole Miss, transfer portal buzz with Kiffin here over in Baton Rouge. So it's been a whirlwind. It's been good. It's been crazy. You got to ride the highs of it. You and I were talking to Blake with AYS, talking about you just got to ride these highs every time you can. And we've been doing that. It's been crazy as hell, but it's been awesome.
Lane Kiffin in the PMAC, and that's about all you want to see in the PMAC right now based on what the last score I saw. Shout out Bruni. Just prayers up to Bruni for having to sit
They're
and watch
battling back, but that team is so sorry. I mean, shout out Bruni. I'll give Bruni his flowers because he's such an avid fan of basketball. I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to dive into this.
Yeah, he's a big Wemby guy. All right, we bring it in and we talk about Ole Miss and Miami. Zach, I know you popped in right before I kind of got in here, and I said Look, these are two of the hottest teams right now in college football. I think this is an intriguing matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch because there's plenty of storylines. Obviously, with Miami and the money that they've spent, the team that they built in the preseason, didn't know if they were going to be able to make the playoff till probably the last 2 or 3 weeks of the year. You started to get that feeling. And then Ole Miss, we don't need to dive into that. You can check out other videos on the channel in terms of what's happened there. Before we dive into some of the numbers, we like CFB graphs, but what is the biggest storyline to you in this game? What stands out just for the casual college football fan they need to know heading into this one?
Yeah, I think it's the most casual take in the world. Everybody knows who Trinidad Chambliss is now, and I think the more you start to watch him play, you start to realize, okay, this dude's the real deal. This isn't kind of a storyline or kind of one where he's riding Charlie Weiss's offense or Lane Kiffin's offense. This dude's got the goods, and he's fascinating to watch. The 3 plays back to back to back that he did at Georgia to really lead them to win that game in the Sugar Bowl was kind of just the full, just what he's done all year is the best way to put it. He's done that all year long, and now he's doing it on the biggest stage in order for everybody to watch it happen. So Trinidad Chambliss is obviously the storyline. He's the headliner. He's the one that everybody's going to talk about. But for me, I'm focusing on the defense and watching what they can do to slow down Carson Beck and company. We know that they have weapons on the outside to utilize, but defensively is where this one's going to be won for Ole Miss. Uman Mielen is a dog on the outside. He's been doing some really good things for them this year, especially in the postseason. Then you look at Wadette Williams, a really good safety transfer from ULM, one of the few things that are good from ULM. And he's been really special in 2025 for them. He made some big-time plays in that Sugar Bowl matchup. So a defensive backfield is where I'm going to have my eyes on, but you got to get to the quarterback, and you got to get at Carson Beck. And that's where I really think Uman Mielen is going to give them kind of this difference-maker spot.
Zach knows this, but Will, when we went to Dallas, I told Zach when we got back, watching Reuben Bain and Akeem Mesidor in person was just ridiculous. They were not the reasons that Miami lost that game up there in Dallas. Bain can play everywhere from a 0 to 9 technique along that defensive line. We've been very complimentary. When they get to the quarterback, it causes problems. Do you think Miami has enough firepower to slow down what Ole Miss is going to try to do, Will?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's really their only shot. They have to win it with their defense in this game. Number 10 total defense, number 9 defensive success rate. You talked about their defensive line, how good they are. The secondary's been making plays all playoffs. Keontae Scott's popped up, intercepting some passes, the Auburn transfer. They do it at all 3 levels. They're really good. The defensive line is where the star power is, but that back end has really started to complement here in the playoffs.
Zach, one thing that Carson Beck has not been in these playoffs is maybe dynamic. He's not really made big mistakes, but he's done a really good job, I think, of playing the point guard role. Last year at Georgia, a lot of Dog fans will tell you that he tried to do too much. It seems like when it's become crunch time, the pressure and the panic isn't there. Can Ole Miss force him to make those bad decisions? Because you and I laughed about this. The mics weren't connected, but I will say it every time. Will said, if you let Carson Beck make a mistake, he probably will. He hasn't done that yet, though, in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money. I mean, he's been their PG1 all year. He's been a game manager, and I think a lot of people use that term negatively. I think if you're a game manager, you're fine, and hence why they're in the college football playoff semis. Carson Beck's been a really good quarterback, but I'm really intrigued to watch what Pete Golding dials up here because, of course, he's the head coach now, but he's still the play caller on defense, and this is a guy who's going to be trying to attack Carson Beck. He is not the most dynamic quarterback. He's not the best in the world when it comes to throwing on the run. He can do it, and now that I just said that, he'll probably light their butts up. But I'll tell you what, you let Xavier Harris get in the backfield in the defensive line. You let Suntarine Perkins get in the backfield. Uman Mielen get in the backfield and wreak havoc. I'm telling you, it's going to make Carson Beck have a really challenging day at the office. I think this is a really hard matchup for Ole Miss. We'll get to our predictions in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think if you can put some pressure on Carson Beck, you're going to be in a good spot. But lucky for them, they have some guys that you can get those kind of dink and dunk plays to and turn it upfield. And that's where, for me, it's going to get tricky. Bryce, all year we watched Blake Baker just continue to send the house, and get killed whenever they would throw those little screen plays. I'm fascinated to see if Miami tries to dial that up, fast forwarding to Thursday.
With a kid like Malachi Tony, they might be able to.
I don't think we've talked enough about Miami's offensive line. They're number 1 in pressure rate allowed, only 16.9%. They're keeping Carson Beck upright. That's a big reason why he's been so good this year. It'll be interesting to see. I'm really interested to see, like you said, Zach, how Pete Golding dials it up.
The last thing I'll say before we get to our predictions, Zach, you and I've talked about this since Kiffin has come to LSU, and maybe we've looked at different things that worked for him at Ole Miss. Probably why LSU upset Ole Miss in 2024. Will, you and I've talked about this. A lot of people want to talk about the passing game. I know Kiffin's not there, but Ole Miss has to run the ball to be successful. Miami held Ohio State to under 50 yards rushing. They had 5 sacks. Is there a worry that if you shut down or just contain, maybe not shut down Kejuan Lacey, Zach, but if you contain what Ole Miss is going to do in the run game and you put it on Chambliss's shoulders for a full 60 minutes, can the kid deliver? I mean, how big of a storyline is that with kind of where Miami's defense has been really seeing that uptick, especially in limiting explosive run plays?
Yeah, I mean, great minds think alike. That's the one thing that I was going to say when it comes to the storyline for this one as well, is the one loss that Ole Miss has this year was when Kejuan Lacey struggled against Georgia. And you really had to kind of put the keys into Trinidad Chambliss's hands and allow him to close it out in the fourth. And he just didn't execute down the stretch. Ultimately, Georgia goes in and kind of closes things out in Athens to get the win, where I'll tell you what, Ole Miss had an opportunity to get the win over there on the road in just an electric atmosphere, and they couldn't seal the deal in the fourth. So my point being, if you can slow down Lacey and put it all on Chambliss, it's going to make this fascinating. Just because we've seen it unfold already in a negative way, it'd be hard for me to envision them being able to get over that hump when the lights are brightest right now, of course, against Miami. So yeah, I think that's a big time piece to watch, is if Lacey's not rocking and really clicking in this one, I don't really see them being able to kind of get over that hump. He has to get over the century mark. He has to get in the end zone. He has to have a big game. If he doesn't, it's going to be a pretty hard day for Ole Miss.
It's going to be a big one in the Fiesta Bowl out there out west. Let's get to the picks. I don't have it right up here in front of me. Miami, a 3.5-point favorite, it looks like, per FanDuel. The over-under at 51.5 in this one. What do we think? Zach, we'll lead it off with you. You're the special guest. If you got to make a prediction right now, where are you leaning and where do you think this thing goes?
It's tough because you look at the analytics and you look at the numbers and everything would really point in the direction of Miami. I really do think that they're a fundamentally sound team. And like Will said, their O-line is really something that's not being talked about enough, keeping Carson Beck upright and allowing those plays to develop. But at the same time, with Ole Miss, they're riding this high, man. They are buying into what this Lane Kiffin nonsense is. They're playing for Pete Golding. It's hard for me to not want to be a homer just because I cover the team to want to give Ole Miss the edge here. But man, I think Miami has a quarterback who's been there, done that when the lights are brightest. Like you said a minute ago, he's not scared when he needs to make those big-time plays. So I don't want to contradict myself here, but I'd probably have to give Miami the edge in this one, and it's going to be really tight. I mean, that spread by FanDuel, shout out FanDuel for the crowded booth. I'll tell you what, I'll give them credit because I'll go with Miami. I'll give them probably a 4-point win here.
All right. Will, where do you sit with this one?
Yeah, it's going to be really close. I mean, we've been talking about it, how hot Ole Miss is. They may be hotter than Indiana. And they're playing with an edge, playing with a chip on their shoulder. Pete Golding I know he was already there, but the way he's just kind of cemented himself and the way these players playing, and his personality so quickly has been fun to watch. But, and they almost feel like they're on like a Cinderella type run, right? And
playing with house money.
Right. At some point, the Cinderella usually falls flat. Just as good as Miami's defense is, it kind of feels like it's coming to an end. But it's going to be close. I mean, this Ole Miss team, they're going to fight. It's going to be a 4-quarter game. Miami's got to play for 4 quarters, and that's what worries me because you give them a chance to screw it up, they'll do it. They somehow didn't against Texas A&M when it looked like for 4 quarters they were going to. I'm going to take Miami close, very close. But I think I would take Ole Miss to cover that 3.5. It's going to be super, super close.
I think it's going to be a great game. I think it has the potential to be better. And Zach, we already talked about Oregon, Indiana. I think it has potential to be the best game out of the two. Just with the fireworks that can happen, the big play opportunities on both sides of the football for both teams, right? I mean, look, Keontae Scott has made a couple of big plays over the past month for Miami. We've seen Ole Miss make some big plays. I think the matchup to watch for me, though, is going to be Carson Beck against this Ole Miss defense. He has kept the ball clean, but if you get a turnover, if you get rattled, how does he respond in those moments? For that reason, I think he's going to get rattled. I'm taking the house money team. I'm taking Ole Miss to win this one. The over-under at 51.5, I'm going to steer clear of because I've got a college fund I've got to put some money into. So I'm steering clear of that one, but give me Ole Miss there outright to win this one, Rebels. We're transitioning right over to the portal so we can get you in and get you out of here. I asked you to come up with a portal storyline, and then I told you what I was going to ask you. So you don't have an option, Zach, that we're going to sit with here with. Kewan Lacey and Trinidad Chambliss, they're going to be heading back to Oxford. This is a massive win for Pete Golding and the new offensive staff that'll take over in 2026. How big of a deal is this, and what does it mean for some continuity purposes about Ole Miss wanting to build upon whenever this season ends? If it ends with them hoisting the trophy, or if it ends this week or in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely massive. I mean, when you look at it, retention is what Pete Golding is locked in on right now. They're kind of doing what LSU's doing, where they're announcing the players that are coming back, and whether it's Deuce Alexander, Caleb Odom, Carneros, their their kicker, all these guys that they're bringing back, they're focused on bringing this entire roster back in 2026. So they're retaining this team, and it starts with Chambliss and it starts with Lacey. Obviously, it's pending that waiver for Chambliss, which for me right now, man, that's going to be fascinating to watch unfold in itself because he's got Tom Mars, one of the most prominent college attorneys kind of in the game representing him. So excited to watch how that unfolds. But nonetheless, to get Lacey back is massive. They open up their checkbook. They're giving him a pretty penny to return to that team in 2026. But they're riding this right now. And a lot of people are talking about why would you go back if it's a whole new system and whatnot. It's not. John David Baker, their new OC, is coming from East Carolina, and he's a guy who kind of runs relatively the same concepts that Charlie Weiss does. And I'm not going to put him on the same level as Charlie Weiss. Charlie Weiss is one of the most coveted OCs in all of college football. But from a scheme perspective, it's pretty similar. You still have Joe Judge in the mix as well, their quarterbacks coach. So there are a lot of pieces that are coming in and are already there that can keep them within the same scheme. So it's big to get these players there too. It starts with Chambliss. It starts with Lacey. It's a big-time win for them. We'll see what happens with the waiver. But, man, to open up the checkbook and prove that they're willing to shell out the big bucks to get these players back, it speaks to what they're ready to do. And it's a stick-it-to-Lane Kiffin type of mentality, and they're going to keep trying to ride that.
I want to ask you real quick because it'll parlay straight into kind of my thoughts on this. Do you think LSU just straight up missed here, or is this more of an option that they couldn't wait on the waiver and they had to make a move? Because there was some risk involved, and I don't think that's just cope from an LSU side of things. There was some risk. If for some reason he didn't get the waiver, LSU was going to be holding a pretty big bag of money with nobody really worth to give it to. We'll see if Levitt ends up being the guy, unless that's popping as we're talking right now. But Levitt's in the PMAC right now. Zach, do you think it's just as cut and dry LSU kind of had to move on and Ole Miss benefited from a situation where he's familiar and he's comfortable?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think LSU isn't necessarily hitting the panic button right now. They have backup plans if it's not Levitt. But nonetheless, if you don't get Chambliss and you didn't get Sorsby, you have, we'll say, $5 million to work with, whatever it is, and you got to give it to somebody. And Levitt's the one that they want to give it to right now. We'll see. Lon was saying earlier that obviously the main goal here is for them to try to lock things down. But if they can't, then you got other guys that you're ready to give that money to. So it's going to be really fascinating to watch how that unfolds.
Incredible segment, just completely derailed. Zach Nagy. Zach,
talk about him as an on-3 employee.
There we go. I can't. What do you think, Zach? Is it too much blue happening with the Pop-Tart Bowl?
You got it? No way.
Yes, sir. They got the white one coming in next week.
Dude, I want the quarter zip.
This is the quarter zip right here.
It looks like a polo from my angle.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
I'm wearing it to the next pickleball outing. Have you read up on the rule book?
That's a win. That is a win. And yeah, I'm reading up on that rule book. I won't get deep into this because y'all have a show to do here, but I'm illiterate when it comes to a pickleball rule book. I don't know if you've played a lot and you're gay, but I just keep forgetting that when you serve it and it comes back, it has to bounce. So I look like an idiot on the pickleball court, probably 9 times out of 10.
Dev says my quarter zip is on back order for a month, and I went to the game. That's crazy. That's wild. Got to know people. It pays to know people. Zach, we appreciate the time, man. Before we get you out of here, you've got obviously your Twitter/X link there, but just where can people find your work, whether an Ole Miss fan or an LSU fan?
Yeah, man. The personal page is right there. It's at znaggy20. Putting out some content with transfer portal, all the buzz that's coming with it, and then of course the LSU page at LSU Tigers SI. That's the primary beat for me, and that's where a lot of content's being pushed out. And then of course we're talking some Ole Miss ball here right now. At Ole Miss on SI is where you can find some college football playoff buzz. We're less than 48 hours until kickoff, so make sure to check it out. A lot of stuff's happening right now between those two programs. Ready for it to slow down a little bit, but nonetheless, got a lot of content coming out, so make sure to check it out.
Will do. Will do. Appreciate you, Zach. Thanks as always, man. Glad we got you on.
Later, guys.
Zach Nagy, he does a fantastic job, and we appreciate him for not only giving us some of his time, but some of the expertise, as it's a weird time to be covering Ole Miss and LSU. Thought he said some good things, Will, about that. I'll take it straight into kind of my thoughts on LSU. I do think this is a scenario for LSU where, and don't worry, the cash will not be checking, or the check will not be cashing, however you got to say it.
Tea leaves.
Tea leaves. Read your tea. I can't say that. I almost got in trouble last time I said that.
Uh-oh.
But in general with this, LSU, I don't know if they really could have waited this whole Trinidad Chambliss thing out. Would they have liked to have Chambliss? 110%. Like, I think anyone saying that Lane Kiffin would not have liked to have Chambliss starting it for him in Death Valley in 6 or 7 months, you're joking with yourself. You're kidding with yourself. He wanted that. But, when you have to weigh both options and you have to kind of sit here and you say to yourself, okay, can you wait for a waiver, one, for their season to end, and for a waiver, love it, Rec Talk, and for a waiver to be, pushed through? I think there is a sentiment of it where it's like, you just can't be sitting on January the 12th without a quarterback if you're LSU. I don't know your thoughts on it, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, there's not another one on the roster, right? I mean,
shout out to Emil Picarella, preferred walk-on. That's all they got.
Okay, not SEC starting caliber on the roster. So you have to get somebody. I think you're exactly right. They couldn't afford to sit around and wait, especially you compare it to other programs that maybe just recently got a quarterback. Won't get too much into that yet. But they didn't exactly know who they wanted, right? I mean, I think LSU, from their perspective, they of course view themselves as the number one program, especially looking for a quarterback right now, at least in the portal cycle. They've got the biggest bag of money to give to anybody. So yeah, you shoot for the stars and you see who you can pay enough to come play for you. And I would think that Chambliss was number one on Lane Kiffin's list, but between the playoff and the waiver and all that, you just can't afford to wait. You only have 14 days in the portal window, and if you're not talking to somebody else is, right? And I think that's pretty safe to say. So yeah, they had to go get somebody. They couldn't afford to wait, so they've obviously had to move on pretty quickly.
And it's not just that. And I want to make sure I'm getting this right. They wanted Chambliss. Like, they wanted him. When it gets to January the 7th, and I said this on a show last night, LSU can't make it to Thursday without a quarterback, right? Like, Sam Levitt is currently on campus. He's in the PMAC right now. He's going to be leaving tomorrow. You can't let this thing get to Thursday and not have a quarterback, because it would honestly, it hurts other teams too, because then a tier 1 team is going to re-enter the quarterback market and screw everything up from a financial standpoint. Not that things are not already screwed up.
And if, like I said, you think about the timeline, if there's another program on a similar level with LSU, or that can pay what LSU can pay, they are going to go after whoever it is aggressively. Like, I don't know if you mentioned, I can't remember if you mentioned it since we've been live or if it was before we went live, but like, Lane Kiffin and LSU have to get Sam Levitt done before tomorrow, before he leaves tomorrow. They don't have much. If they don't get him, somebody else is going to. Sam Levitt's the number one player in the portal, according to On3 and Rivals. Somebody's going to go get him. He is highly sought after. They have to get this done before he leaves tomorrow.
Miami's the other team that is being reported. Pete Nakos has reported that's involved. The good thing for LSU is they're playing a game, so they can't really host him right now. But that's why I say you can't let him get to that Miami visit. If he gets the Miami visit, then things get crazy. Gavin put in our text group, Damon Williams, very uber talented quarterback with Washington, enters with a no contact tag. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen there. But LSU doesn't just need to get a starting quarterback. Well, they've got to fill out a quarterback room. So it'll be interesting. I just want to put that out there. I think LSU was kind of forced to say, we can't wait on Chambliss. And credit to Ole Miss. They forced that hand by continuing to win in the playoff. You can't wait till the season's over. I'm not saying that he would have left Will if they lost to Georgia, but the likelihood of him being in Baton Rouge, I think, decreased with that win in the Sugar Bowl.
He would have taken a visit, without a doubt. He would have been taking a visit. I think, again, with the timeline thing, if you're still playing games, you can't really take a visit. I don't know if
that would be. Could you imagine? That's crazy.
Think there's been a single player on a playoff roster that is still with the team or actually playing the playoff games that has taken a visit or is even in the portal. I mean, there's so much happening. I've said it, I don't know how many times already. I can barely keep up with who plays for who. It'll be like week 6 before I figure out who plays for Auburn.
Yeah.
And I watch them play every game.
Before we get to talking about the South Florida Tigers and the Auburn Bulls, let's take a quick break. When we do, we'll come right back. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about our friends right there over at Section 103. They do a fantastic job. Make sure you use code TCB10 for 10% off your order today. Look, they've got some of the most comfortable polos. I'm not sure if they're getting into the quarter zip game, but they should because it's great stuff. Whether you're an LSU fan, a Georgia Tech fan, or anything in between, whether it's Kennesaw State coming off that Conference USA title, you need to make sure that you are checking out Section 103, that you're putting together the best outfit for game day. It's phenomenal. You're going to love it. I'm telling you, don't miss out on the opportunity today to get those things done as well. So, look, it's great. Use code TCB10 for 10% off your order today. All right, let's bring it back and let's talk about it, Will.
I'm still waiting on the Auburn line.
You're still waiting. I know. Will, what's happening in Opelika? I'm just going to say this. You and I were talking about this before. Alex Golesh has come into Auburn. He has effectively blown up the current roster. Like that's a fair way of saying things. He has blown up the current roster. Yeah, roster retention.
We heard that from the time that Hugh Freeze was fired until like a week ago. Roster retention. We got to keep this roster together. We got to keep them together.
Yeah. I mean, it's just we talked a little bit about this last week, but I wanted to get your read on what has happened so far because there is not one Power 4 transfer brought in. It is essentially the best players off that USF team, which isn't a bad thing. Bringing in your guys who understand what you want to do is fine. Byron Brown can play, in my opinion, should be able to play at the SEC level under Golesh for 1 year. But it's about the pieces around him, Will. It's about the offensive line that I know we're going to talk so much about this offseason. What's your gauge on what's been brought in? And I guess your portal takeaway, because it looks like it's the South Florida Tigers versus the Auburn Bulls. And Zach says down here, what about the Florida Yellow Jackets are seemingly happening down there in Gainesville? What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Do you call them the Auburn Bulls? Call them South Florida Tigers? I don't know because it's basically the top players from South Florida, which I agree with you. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Don't know if he's still in here, but Austin would just a casual take. Byron Brown just robbed Auburn. Byron Brown ranked at number 11, according to On3. I think that's crazy. He's one of, was it 10 or less than 10 college quarterbacks ever to throw for 3,000 yards and rush for 1,000 yards in a season.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds to me like he's statistically the best quarterback in the country. And he's coming to Auburn. And Zach, get out of here with that. We haven't been able to say that for a long time. There we go. There's the star of the show.
Do you want to say anything about Auburn? Say yes. Say yes. Eventually, you're going to have to say something. All right, can I have a hug? Night. Good night. Love you. Say bye-bye. You're waving at Will. All right. See you later. Yeah.
There it is.
There we go.
There it is.
Bye-bye. Okay. Anyways, continue. Continue.
But no, it was. I knew, and I think most people knew, that it was the portal steam for Auburn was not really going to pick up until the quarterback was settled, right?
Yeah.
Because Auburn lost every quarterback, every scholarship quarterback from that quarterback room. So Alex Golesh had to rebuild the quarterback room, had to figure out who's the starter going to be, right? We're still Auburn, I think, is still looking for a number 2 quarterback. He flips a quarterback he had committed to South Florida. He gets redshirt freshman Lachlan Hewitt. He played against Old Dominion in the bowl game. That's when I saw him.
Yes. Yeah.
He kept his redshirt. He comes in to be the number 3 quarterback. Auburn's still looking for the number 2. Byron Brown's going to be the starter, no doubt about it. 1 year of eligibility left. So, but now I expect especially the rest of the offense. I know the wide receivers kind of settled. It's all South Florida guys. Would love for Auburn to. I mean, ideal scenario, every other team can't convince Cam Coleman that it's better there than it would be to come back to Auburn. There's been talk that bridges were burned there between Auburn and Cam Coleman. I hope that's not the case, because of a player that talented, if he comes back and says, hey, I shouldn't have gone in the portal, is there still a spot? Yeah, you make a spot for that guy. That's how talented he is. Ideal scenario, that would be the ideal scenario. But I would love for Auburn, for Golesh to maybe go out and get a number 1 wide receiver. Obviously, talented wide receivers coming in, like Chaz Nimrod, which he hasn't committed. He's expected to come to Auburn. He has not yet committed yet, but like Christian Neptune, talented freshman. Where is he? Which I'm blanking on some names here. There's so many South Florida guys. I'm just expecting the steam to really get rolling, right? Especially with the offensive line. I said it last year when we talked about Jackson Arnold coming to Auburn. None of this matters if the offensive line is not figured out and not settled. That was a problem last year. If Auburn line played a football game on Saturday, they would get beat because they don't have an offensive line. Looking at the defensive side of the ball, DJ Durkin staying on as defensive coordinator. There's been some contributors leave. I think the biggest one's Kayan Lee and Jay Crawford. Maris Williams, who is expected to get an elevated role as a pass rusher in the transfer portal as well. But there's been a lot of guys that have decided to stay. Xavier Atkins, the big one. Elijah Melendez, one of your favorites. Say that tongue in cheek. Is
banana pudding.
Yeah. He rumor is he loves banana pudding.
Sources have told us.
Yeah. So I definitely think the pieces are there again for a good defense like Auburn had a year ago. But now that the quarterback position's settled, I think we'll see a lot more transfers. I think that's a similar situation for LSU. They get their starting quarterback figured out. We're going to see more holes filled. But hey, Miami, Ohio's in trouble. Auburn got their long snapper. So good luck to the Red Hawks this fall.
There's that. Transfer portal giveth, the transfer portal taketh away.
TDJ, Cam Coleman is a Bulldog. Will, it's over.
By my
accounts, I was the first one to say that. I think if Cam Coleman was smart and if it wasn't all about money, which we know that it is, he would go to the place that has best quarterback in the SEC, Georgia. Well, if Chambliss gets a waiver, you got an argument there for Trinidad Chambliss, but Gunnar Stockton might be the best returning quarterback in the SEC in 2026.
Think he's better than Marcel Reed?
Yeah, I think so. And this is the guy that had Marcel Reed as number 1 on his Heisman list for most of the season.
Yeah, well, you didn't have Haynes King on there, dude, so you didn't know what
you were talking about. The list was invalid anyway.
The list was invalid to begin with, you hater. Going back up, shout out Rec Talk. Are we real fans? I think I can't answer that with the current moment.
You're not allowed to be a fan.
I'm not allowed to be.
You're an independent media member.
Independent contributor. Well, we'll see what happens with that. But it's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. I'll just go ahead.
I'm wearing an SMU shirt.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's nuts. Yes, so we appreciate you. This is the other side. That's crazy.
That is great.
I'm not just a fan, but an alum. Great show, says Dr. Bob. Great show. It's been a fun time hanging out. We appreciate everyone talking with us, and I wanted to make sure I got this message here across. My timeline is filled with Lon Phillips Sullivan, and so I'm just trying to navigate that as what it is. But yeah, that's crazy. I want to talk a little bit about that. Well, you already kind of hit on it. It's really just more of the spending that we're going after in the portal. And I don't know, Will, and this is the last thing we'll talk about. Like, I don't know how many more years we can sit here and do this, right? I don't know how many more years we can sit here and say, okay, I talked with someone today, and I talked with Gavin about this. Like, there's an SEC team that feels like they might have to spend around $35 to $40 million. I mean, how many teams can do that? Now, look, you get your $18 to $20 million, in terms of your rev share. Anything beyond that has to be your own collective or your NIL. How many? I mean, can you generate another 20, 15, 20? There's programs that can't do that. And so you're expanding the scholarship limit in the SEC to 105. I think that means that, and I said this on a show last night, I think that hurts teams outside the SEC because there's going to be kids that say, you know what, I'll take a chance, treat it like mini camp, and if I get cut, then I get cut. But I'm willing to be the fifth defensive lineman for spring practice to see if I can make it. Now, the difference is there's no spring portal, but, I'm sure somebody will find a way to leave and go enroll somewhere else. So, well, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
It's always been about the haves and the have-nots, right? It's always been that way. But now it's in the open. And I think it's certainly more money than it was. It used to be obscene, insane, unheard of for somebody to get $1 million. Now that's the going rate for a starting player. It seems like, or at least for a lot of teams, or a star player, right? And now it's just straight cash. I mean, like I said, it's always been about the haves and the have-nots, but it used to be like, here's a house, here's 3 cars. What does that add up to, right? Like it'd be a total package of $1 million or $2 million, whatever. Now it's just straight cash. And there's a lot of jealousy. I'm jealous. I mean, I wish I was good enough at football to get $250,000, or good enough at baseball to get $250,000. But it's just, I don't know. It's just the mentality and the perception now, right? Mm-hmm. When nobody knew about it, when you didn't know about values, when you could pretend that people weren't paying or cheating, skirting the rules, what used to be cheating, you could tolerate it. But now that it's in the open, it's kind of gross.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know what else is interesting as we close it out the show? MacArthur Woodworks is no longer MacArthur Woodworks. The MacArthur Design Company for all your design needs. If you need a weapon, but you also need a beautiful household item, contact my friends over there. You can use code TCB10 for 10% off your order today. Michael does a great job. He's a Georgia Tech alum. He's a fan. So make sure you support him, support those tech-owned businesses as well. And give him a shout, whatever you need. Custom furniture, custom piece for the kitchen, whatever it is, it's going to be something that you want to display for your family and friends. And it's a great gift. Christmas money, I know you've got it, so make sure you spend it. Hey, fellas, if you want to give the wife a good Valentine's Day present, head over MacArthur Design Company. They got some good stuff that you can choose from. All right, we appreciate everyone tuning in. Zach Nagy did a fantastic job. We'll break all these up on the channel so you can watch what you want to watch, and we'll catch you live next time as we get ready to talk College Football National Championship, and then we'll be talking about the portal closing, and then, yes, recapping the 2025 season, and eventually tier rankings and coaching rankings list, which I'm sure will be met with beautiful, beautiful reviews. We appreciate it. Will Maness, Gavin Hart in the background. My name is Bryce Koon, and we will catch you next time here on The Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce, Koon,